Hey everyone, and welcome to Impactors Out Loud. Have you ever stopped to question whether you're facing a wall or standing before a door of opportunities? The difference lies in the challenge, not in the challenge, but in the mindset. Today, we're going to dive into how a shift in your perspective can help you to break free from the grasp of imposter syndrome, and navigate the workplace dynamic with purpose and power. Growth isn't about avoiding obstacles, but seeing them as the foundation for your next steps. Are you ready to unlock the strategies that lead to lasting impact and success? Let's plant a seed of transformation together. Welcome to Impactors Out Loud. I'm your host, Tracy B. Allen. Impactors Out Loud is where social impact meets strategy, spotlighting trailblazing entrepreneurs, their challenges, and the revolutionary innovations driving real change. Each week, we dive into powerful stories, strategies, and insight to inspire and equip those passionate about making an impact through business. Hey, Monique, thank you for being here today to talk about this topic with us. Would you tell me a little bit about yourself and the work that you do?
Well, it's delightful to be here with you today. I'm really
Thank
excited
you.
about being here. Yes, I am Monique A. J. Smith. I'm a leadership strategist for athletic departments, sport organizations, and individuals who wish to advance in athletic administration and sports management careers.
Hmm.
Um, and because I do specialize with Black women, I've come to, I want to say not consensus, but something that continues to be the barrier more likely than not is the
Mhm.
confidence level. And it doesn't have to do anything really to do with how much education you have. You know,
So, what
meaning,
does that have to do with?
right. I mean, it doesn't have anything to do with education. You could
Uh-huh.
be a college kid, a freshman, a person with a PhD,
Uh-huh.
owner on business. It is something that the imposter syndrome, comes up
Mhm.
because, to be honest, in 2024, because social media is so prevalent,
Mhm.
it is made by psychologists to
Mhm.
make you look in comparison, and you don't even know that you're doing it. And so you already always measuring yourself up
Mhm.
without even knowing that you are.
Right.
And so that's how, again, when I talk about acing out uh, the um, the syndrome,
Mhm.
imposter syndrome, forever, is the fact that number one is not going away. Number two, you've got to stay always aware,
Okay.
and that's the first part of an ACE. It's the A is to
Mhm.
make sure that you're
Awareness.
aware of what's going on.
Okay. Um, so you said it's not about the degrees that we hold, it's about the things that are happening in and around us in the society. And you mentioned social media as one of the catalysts to people having extreme imposter syndrome. When most of us think about imposter syndrome, I know we think about people who lack the confidence or are unsure of the knowledge base that they have in a specific subject matter. But you're saying no, it's not about that. It's about the comparisons that we have, um, either consciously or subconsciously, to the other people in and around us. Is that what you're saying?
Well, in comparison to other people, I mean, I know
On the same
people,
level. Okay.
or not.
Okay.
I will say, I know a lot of people that won't even apply for a job
Mhm.
because they're comfortable where they are, and they've seen other individuals not maybe not be successful, okay,
Mhm.
or they just don't want. It really is. I don't want to fail, so I'll stay at the level that I am.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the imposter syndrome, because of the fact you don't believe that you are where you are and that you can duplicate yourself to keep on moving up the ladder.
So would you say that imposter syndrome and failure to thrive, or what I like to call fear of success, kind of go
Yeah,
together?
definitely fear of success. That's exactly what I was thinking when
Mm-hmm.
I was saying it. But again, it's second guessing yourself. I'm not supposed to be here. And here's a key point. They might find out. That's the imposter, meaning what you see, and then they
Oh,
might
okay. I
find
get what
out.
you're saying.
Yeah, they might find out.
They might
I'm
find out that
really
I
not.
shouldn't be here.
Right. And that's why you want to keep people at bay.
Mhm,
I'm going to be honest with you. I kind of discovered over the years one of the things, because some things are hereditary. My
mhm,
father was like that. He was a great leader, but he also did not, I mean, again, his era growing up too. I mean, black man during the 60s and being a leader in a small town in education.
mhm,
I remember him saying he did not want to go for principal. He would stay as assistant principal. And I'm a little girl. I mean, I'm like fourth grade. And I
mhm.
thought that was very interesting. So in my subconscious mind, I've always said, I'm never going to say coulda, woulda. But years later, I mean, I wouldn't say it's not like I don't want the challenge, but
Mhm.
you weigh, um, you know, is it worth it? Do I
Right.
want, because the older you get, you think about what you're going to lose, not what you're going to gain. The younger
Yes.
you are, you kind of go like, and it's a book called Rookie Smarts.
Mhm,
And that is after the pandemic where people are hiring, people looking for rookie smarts. Because you think about when you first entered that job, you are just hitting it. You don't have any fear. You ask questions and you don't care. People think silly. Like you just go ahead and ask
right.
questions, and you are like a sponge. And
Mhm,
then you may have we considered, how about, why don't we do this? You're still not concerned about how they see you, but let you get a little status. You don't want somebody to be thinking, oh, they're just a dreamer. And I'm here to tell you, 2024, that's how we got where we are right now. Somebody dreamed of all the life
yeah,
that we live in with the Uber
uh-huh,
Eats. Okay. I'm just saying,
uh-huh,
that is how, and I tell my students, I teach at Hampton University, I teach sports management courses.
mhm,
And I said, it really is how people have been socialized. I'm 57, knocking on 60.
mhm.
We were taught, not necessarily me, to be seen and not heard, and let's
Right.
talk.
Mhm.
Well, I was only child, so I didn't have that, but I had that when we had
Okay.
company. You
Mhm,
see, all right. But both my parents are school teachers, so all the school teachers were like Uncle so and so, Aunt so and so. So I was the
mhm,
same way in class. Let me ask a question. How about, But I got burned by the time I was a senior.
mhm.
And I said I wasn't so accepted. And nothing wrong with that, because I teach the leaders that do my executive coaching and my membership group, be strategic. See, that's where you mess up. It's not that you're not supposed to go get that, but you gotta be more strategic.
Mhm.
That's a group situation. You can't do it by yourself. But,
Right.
listen, but let me tell you what I said. I said, well, you didn't see Encyclopedia Brown have adult leadership. Nancy Drew didn't incorporate, so I had to unlearn that thought that yes, I'm the
Mhm.
leader, but I got
Yeah.
to be strategic with it. Who is going to be able to carry this all the way through? And so
Mhm.
having that happen to me at 18, it's a little different from my father going like, I got to protect my family. I'm going to make sure I don't stir up things. You see what I'm saying? I
Mhm.
did not understand the environment that he was in. But for me, I said, that's not going to be me. So I go ahead, hell bent as a SJ president in high school. I didn't even know I was supposed to tell my advisor what I was doing. I just go straight to the principal. And
Mhm.
I wasn't aware. So as I
Mhm.
become older, only woman in athletic administration, very few, I did the same thing again, But somehow or another, thank goodness, it hit me inside the head that it
Mhm.
has to be more strategic.
Good. Right.
And so
Mhm.
when we become aware of that,
Mhm.
either you lose your zeal or you go
Mhm.
ahead and you just go back under. And that's
Right.
what I have to work on with them. I said, I didn't tell you to be quiet. To be strategic with it. And that's
Right.
the imposter syndrome. It's just that when you have that one little slip or something, or somebody doubts you in a meeting, or somebody doesn't call on you, or somebody says the same thing that you said, you go hide under a rock,
Right.
right? But again, in today's world, if you can show how we can get there faster,
Mhm.
they're gonna listen to you. That's why it's so important to keep being a reader. I don't know if you can see all the books I got, and I just told you this book. This
Yeah, I
book.
have a whole wall of bookshelves as well with
Yes.
books on them. I'm a lover of books. I love
Oh yes.
reading. I've always loved reading, and that's something that I think we've gotten away from as a society. And even like when you go to market your business, market yourself, you have to take into account, oh, this got to be short, succinct because people don't read no more. And that's sad. And I think it has the lack of reading because my background is in education. I was an English language arts teacher for over 15 years. um, the lack of, and this is off topic, but the lack of reading is causing a lot of the issues that we're having right now, because reading leads you towards critical thinking, right? It leads you towards opening up a whole world and a perspective that you cannot just get from listening to people. You have to be a
Mm-hmm.
lover of learning, and that is through books. So I think it's causing a cylindrical effect on our society as a whole, where people are not comprehending. Yeah, that's what I want to say. Comprehending what is being said to them because they cannot comprehend text.
Well, um, again being strategic again. If you
Mhm.
want someone to, I don't want to get on your bandwagon,
I
the
know
best
exactly
thing
what
to
you're saying.
do
Is
is
to
to get them.
undereducate them.
No, 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 no. If you
Mhm.
want to get
Oh,
somebody on your bandwagon, you
uh,
give them the book that you learn the same topic or
oh
something,
yes,
because
yeah.
therefore they will
Mhm.
take ownership of the thought process. Otherwise, it's like, oh, I'm taking her advice. I don't want to take her advice.
Right, right. And that's why I said the lack of reading is causing that scenario to play out a lot of times as well, because they're not taking the time to educate themselves. So, yeah.
We can use it too, though. You can use your audiobooks. I'm okay with TED Talk.
Exactly,
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah,
I
however you
mean,
get it, I don't care. I just need you to go out and learn for yourself. But you talked a lot about being in sports medicine. How did you get into sports? Not
not
sports medicine,
medicine,
but not
but
sports
management.
medicine. Sports management. I
Yeah,
misspoke.
girl, I was like,
Yeah,
no, I ain't doing no surgery on nobody.
yeah.
Okay?
Sports management.
Yes.
You talked about getting into sports management. How did that career path um, manifest itself?
Um. Well, I went to Hampton University in
Mhm.
communications, and my sophomore year there was an internship flyer in January. Matter of fact, for the CIAA, which is Central Intercollegiate Athletic Association, a Division II athletic conference. And I was brought in one of four, and all the rest of the three were guys.
Mhm.
And I knew I could do it because I had been keeping score since the 8th grade. And I just read a post today. My homeboy was Tony Massenberg. He was a freshman at Maryland when Lynn Bias was a senior. So when he was being recruited, um, the coach had me calculate all of his stats,
Mhm.
and I had to do it by hand. There was no computers back then. And so when this internship came about, I'm out again. I was SGA president. I could write stories. I believe that writing human interest stories would put butts in seats and all that kind of good thing. And so we had a. I was the only woman writing the women's sports for a TV show at Hampton University. And I did that for a semester. I picked the players of the week and the coach of the week, which again is the same thing, looking at stats.
Mhm.
And I did dibble and dabble in television. I interned at BET and a local TV station in North
Mhm.
Virginia. But I really like promoting the athlete,
Gotcha.
promoting the sports versus
Mhm.
going to go get the story. I wanted to create the narrative,
Mhm.
create the slogan, and my creativity worked better than having be under the gun and be able to come with it less than 24 hours. So the first job, and I interned in sports information at
Mhm.
Hampton University my junior, my senior year. We hosted a national championship for Division II track and field,
Mhm.
and I was in charge of the press box and credentials. And all of the sports information directors came to help. And I saw this is a community of people that will help me, because there was a first female athletic director in the CAA, hired the very first full-time woman sports information director. I said, okay, we can do this. And they didn't have football. So, and I was proficient in basketball. And that's what I did. I went to St. Paul's College in Lawrenceville, Virginia in 1990.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, the lady who hired me, she died after 1 year hiring me. I went through 5 different athletic directors.
Mhm.
And after the fifth one, the president called and said, I want you to take over the program. I'll support you. And I remained in that role for 2 years.
Mhm.
And then I left the area and went to University of Maryland Shore as a compliance person.
Mhm.
So I'm an AD. I have a compliance person, but this is Division 1. I'm Division 2, and I take my skills there. But then the commissioner said, "Come on back home." So I went back to the conference that I interned with, and he says, "I want you to be the PR director." And I said, "I can't come back and do the same thing I did as an intern."
Okay.
He said, "I don't expect you to. You get in here and you train somebody to do what you don't want to do. You can do what you want to do." So I did. I became director of
Mhm.
championships, eventually director of governance, and they changed leadership
Mhm.
after 13 years of me being there. And then I became a consultant. I've been a full-time consultant for 11 years. I teach at Hampton. I do work for Boo Williams, Sportsplex, legend in grassroots basketball. I utilize my students in the operational logistics there. And
Mhm.
I do the consulting piece. I do workshops for student athletes, especially the leaders. I do staff retreats for the athletic department. Um,
Okay.
Really addressing some of the issues we talked about today. And I do executive coaching and I do group coaching. And I have a
Okay.
magazine. We got, and mind you, the magazine came about because I
Mhm.
kept trying to get the women to see how to package your expertise, and they just couldn't get it. So I had a speakers bureau, and they just were not gathering. I said, okay, let me help. So the magazine allowed them
Mhm.
to think about what is it I've done at every institution I've been at, and
Mhm.
how do I package that to monetize it to be asked to be on a panel, you know,
Right.
and
Okay.
how, and then they have a product now because many
Mhm.
almost I think only 2 people now they're getting better. Now they have their own books, but they didn't have a book, and this began that. And the
Oh, okay.
and the podcast
What is the name of your magazine?
significance in athletics and sports.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
and
that's cool.
so
I just launched my magazine as well.
I saw that.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, and this
I
is the
gotta
8th one.
subscribe.
Thank
Okay.
you. And
Yeah.
then the podcast I've had for 11 years is called Chat in the Garden. Duh.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. So, can we talk a little bit more in depth as to exactly what you do? Can you say you work mostly or mainly with female athletes,
Oh no.
right?
No, no, no. Female
No,
athletic administrators, those who lead.
administrators. Oh, those who
Right.
lead. Okay. All
Yeah.
right.
Lead
So,
the
okay.
programs.
So
The
that's where your
leaders.
executive coaching comes in. Got it. Got it. Okay. Clarity is always a good thing.
Yes.
So, tell me a little bit about that. What do you do with them to help their athletes? What is it
Well,
that you do?
it's not necessarily the athletes. It's about
Hmm.
running a program.
Is
When
running
you are
about
a
okay,
director of athletics, you're
okay,
running a division of a company. The university is
okay.
the company.
Mm-hmm.
and they're running out, and they hire coaches. They
Got you.
control budgets. They
Mm-hmm.
set policy. And let's just
Mm-hmm.
be honest, they manage people and resources. And
Okay.
so, and that's one of the
I don't
things.
know. For whatever reason, I always thought that the person who was the athletic director worked directly with the athletes themselves, but they're the department chairperson, basically. Okay,
Yeah.
got you.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
honestly, I mean, they do. I mean,
Mhm.
the good ones will have, you know, how you have a thing called Student Athlete Advisory Council,
Yeah.
and they will have a meeting to have a, you know, open door policy. But if you
Mhm.
have open door policy, everyone you get nothing done. I've had to train, like most of the time, my executive coaching are
Mhm.
sitting women, Black women, in
Mhm.
athletic director position. And so
Okay.
they've come from assistant AD, they come
Mhm.
from coaching, and they come from being a student athlete. And they don't, you know, I don't need
And
to.
they still want to wear all those hats in the
No, I
position
mean,
that they're in?
they don't know about this. You follow
Okay.
me? They think they do, because if you've been an
Right.
AD, I mean a coach, you
Mhm.
think you know you've been leading the program, but you haven't,
Mhm.
because the power structure. The
Yeah.
kids have to listen to you in
Mhm.
order to play. But when you are the athletic director and you have head coaches, and I told somebody this recently, if a person who's a coach and they lead athletic department like the coach, you
Mhm.
know, it's, you cannot lead in fear anymore. People are not going to be able to do that. And so there is a thought process. You know, you saw the TV show, the movie Officer and a Gentleman. You break
Mhm.
people down to build them up.
You're
Well,
right.
yes, you know, college kids, you know, you do that, but you can't do that with grown folks.
Mhm.
We're not the army. You know, people will take their talent someplace else. You know, and
Very
so
true.
student athletes will now too. This is why
Yeah.
I teach now when I do staff retreat. Our playing field is expanding. I don't say changing, because change, your brain goes into flight or fight.
Okay. Yep.
And so you're not even listening to the
Mhm.
strategies I'm telling you how to build trust faster. It's the
Mhm.
speed of trust, how you're going to be able to either navigate your student athletes or navigate, and again, that your coaches. But here's the thing, if I'm the athletic director and I got coaches back here and then students down here,
Mhm.
I got VPs over here.
Right.
I got boosters over here. I got sponsors over here. I got to do hands up. Oh, definitely got to be able to coach up to the president or the
Mhm.
chancellor. So you got all these moving parts. And one of my clients, she just wrote a book. I'm just so proud of her. She's a high school athletic director, but she's an 8-time athletic director of the year out of Georgia. And her
Oh.
book is called Teachable Moments. And she talked about using a to teach it how, when you're juggling. And she said they
Mhm.
did this with their student athletes. And I thought this was great. I've never tried to juggle. Have you?
Yes, I have.
Okay, so she said when you try to juggle, you keep your focal point on the top.
Yep.
And then she said that's exactly how you juggle your work as an athletic director. I was like,
Mhm.
that was just perfect.
Yeah. You have to have a focus point, or
Yeah,
else your eyes are
right.
gonna be all over the place, and you're never gonna be able to juggle the balls. So you have to have a focal point, and that's where you're gonna look, and everything else, your hand is gonna do everything else for you. So yeah.
So that explains to you,
Yeah.
and I'll be using that for the next up until now, until forever, because that's a visual. You know, people can
Yes.
actually see that
Hmm.
in their mindset. And so therefore you have to do what? You have to, because when I say what is your vision, your mission for the athletic department,
Hmm.
now I got a visual to say so that you don't drop any balls.
Right. Exactly. You mentioned earlier in our conversation about DEI.
Mm-hmm.
So, how does DEI play into what you do as um, an executive coach for these ladies? And what do you think is going to happen in 2025 with their jobs? Like, what challenges do you think they're going to encounter in 2025 because of everything that's happening?
Well, and I mentioned it to you that I was in on a training how
Mm-hmm.
to use DEI and sports management, meaning in the classroom, teaching our students who are majoring in this, who will go out and be professionals, in the
Mm-hmm.
field.
Mm-hmm.
And not necessarily higher ed, but let's just say a marketing firm, you know.
Got you.
And so when you're looking, and I teach this normally, and I teach at
Mm-hmm.
HBCU, but
Okay.
diversity is more than what your eye can see. It could be your economic situation,
Mm-hmm.
um, learning disabilities, things that you can't see with the
Yeah.
naked eye. But
Mm-hmm.
what I say is, like I told you, diversity of thought. Do not be fearful
Mm-hmm.
of speaking your truth and knowing what the truth. But I do say you can't use barbershop talk to be able to express it. You got to use the actual theory
Yes.
to say.
Verbiage. Yeah.
And I
Mm-hmm.
promise you, you'll win every battle in that barbershop because they don't have no comeback for you. But
Yeah.
just like the one that came out years ago, that lady had a choker necklace. I don't know what fashion house came up with it, but
Mm-hmm.
thought it was cute. And I'm going, it,
Mm-hmm.
it looked like it looked like a chain,
Mm-hmm.
and this was before 1619 came out, you see? And people were appalled, but you got to educate people why you're appalled, because what does it trigger for people? Like, I had a young man in my class who was for the Philippines, and he didn't
Mm-hmm.
understand why we were upset about the Confederate flag. He just thought it was a piece of cloth.
Got you.
And he didn't understand the dynamics that comes out of that. And so, that was in a race and gender class. So when I try to bring up consciousness, critical thinking, like, who would this affect? I remember being in a conference office in Division 2 when we began to talk about mascots. And Division 1, the money people, said in order to host a national championship, you need to be able to change your mascot to be neutral. Not
Mm-hmm.
definitely, definitely not a person, and a Native American is a
American.
person.
Yeah.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
and so it's about having somebody who's experiencing that tell it. You see, and so I think at this point of our life, it's just about educating. It's about educating, and I'm gonna be honest with you. Um, the point of putting DEI with name, image, and likeness,
Mm-hmm.
um, you see disparities. You just see disparities going on like this,
Mm-hmm.
and not just about race and positions.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so ecstatic about the number of black male quarterbacks. I mean, honestly, I'm Super Bowl. We can't win. I mean, we can't lose. We can't lose.
Okay.
But
Mm-hmm.
but we need, and then the national championship,
Mm-hmm.
we couldn't lose. You see what I'm saying? Well, no, not the national game, the game before that. But when Penn State played against Notre Dame, two black men,
Mm-hmm.
and that's where we want to get, with the leadership looks
Okay.
like the people on the field.
Got it.
You
That
know,
makes sense. Yeah.
yeah, but that's the case. I tell
Mm-hmm.
students, you cannot say, even in population, so and so's a beast. A beast does not have critical thinking.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna give you another perfect example. Then I'm gonna let you change the subject.
Mm-hmm.
Last night, and I know how people love Tom Brady. Tom Brady consistently said he is counting too long. Talk about our boy, Mr. Hurts,
Mm-hmm.
before he throws the ball. He said that over and over and over and over again. Now, what do you think that does for the general public, who thinks Tom Brady is the be all best quarterback in the whole world forever and ever and amen?
Mm-hmm.
That our guy is don't have critical thinking, and he is robotic, and he can't read defense. And I'm that person. I did text. All right, can we please, you know, not say the same thing over and over again. Put something else in your script. That's the kind of thing I'm trying to say. Because here's the point. I think South Carolina, some song was played that was derogatory to, I don't know which team. I don't know. It was LSU or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be conscious. Like again, if tensions are going,
Mm-hmm.
don't play Lucky Buck.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And in our community, hey, that means it's on challenge. You know what I mean? You know,
Yeah.
and no, if you're trying to sell tickets for a family affair, that's not
Mm-hmm.
the kind of affair you want to have. So again, I
Mm-hmm.
just named like 6 or 7 type of diversity of thought. Where
Mm-hmm.
people are from. How do you make sure that the decisions you make that
Mm-hmm.
going to affect the bottom line also include the diversity of thought of the people that you're around. And again, if you don't want to use the word diversity, okay, we want to say the different social worlds that we are colliding with.
Yes. Yeah. Awesome. If you had to give people 3 things to think about when it comes to either diversity, equity, and inclusion, or imposter syndrome, or it could be a combination of both, what would you leave them with? What thoughts would you leave them with around those things?
Okay, well, you're going to have to do a deep dive on awareness of what your triggers are.
Mm-hmm.
Because somehow or another, that trigger makes you tune. It's like train gets in your ears. You don't hear, you can't function, and you go in. It's like you go back into a turtle shell,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And so that awareness will help you control. Um, I would say the earworms, the things that you listen to. I remember listening to an Empire one time, and I
Mm-hmm.
found myself talking like Cookie. I was like, "Oops, need to cut that off."
Mm-hmm.
But that was awareness of going like, I'm
Mm-hmm.
using language, it's not language I usually listen to. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I'm moving my head a little bit more. That's not me.
I know, right?
I am country to the bone. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So that's one thing. And then
Mm-hmm.
empowerment, educate yourself. Find
Mm-hmm.
out, why is this I took over the Christmas break and listen to a book on Shirley Chisholm after she ran for president. What were her strategic thoughts of getting legislation passed? And she
Mm-hmm.
didn't always go with the vote or go with the campaign with the obvious one that she thought people thought that she would go with. She went with the one that would be able to get the action done. She was all about action.
Mm-hmm.
And she and I will say this, almost everybody I know, we've been discriminated more at being a woman than being black. So how do you balance that? You got to know your triggers. I have been at HBCU all of my 30 years athletic administration. And
Mm-hmm.
so just recently I came across a racial incident on campus that I was taken aback. I
Mm-hmm.
really was taken aback at the conversation. And I was just like, whoa. And I mean, I really had to work through it. So the last thing is learning how to work through it. And I have sent many a person to therapy. The joke is, has she sent you to therapy yet?
Therapy is a good thing, and a lot of people need it and don't realize it. So,
Right.
yeah, yeah. Um, well, our last question would be, what makes you an impactor?
Oh, wow. Well, I will say I am willing to say the tough things that people are saying to themselves, but not really listening to it. Just like I just said about especially sitting women ADs. I had a young lady that was an athletic director at the high school level, and she was just popping off on people all the time. I said, "Well, you can't leave people. You keep popping off." I said, "You're gonna have to really go to therapy and figure out what is the underlying thing." I said, "It's the simplest thing," and I actually did write about this in
Mm-hmm.
an anthology about public figure mass exit stage left. Because when you are one of the first, you have pressures on yourself you're not really aware of. So this was in the 90s for me, but these are still first coming down in the 2024s.
Mm-hmm.
And you're just so afraid. Again, the imposter syndrome is battling it. And,
Right.
you need someone to help you figure out what is your trigger. And then you know when to step away, go do some self-care. I don't mean get your fingernails done, but for me, it's go read a book. My
Mm-hmm.
endorphins happen when I learn something new. And so knowing what your endorphins are is another piece. But
Okay.
that's really why I would say I'm an influencer, because I'm going to say the hard things, but I'm going to help you be a better you. I plant seeds of empowerment to lead others to greatness. That's where seeds of empowerment is all about.
Okay, I like that. All right. Well, Monique, thank you for being a guest on Impactors Out Loud today. And I look forward to keeping in contact with you and putting your spread in our magazine, because your interview actually goes in our magazine,
Oh
and
wow!
all the clips that will go, yeah, all the clips that will go out throughout the year. We also have something called Impactors of Influence Award. And if you are up for that, we can put your name in the hat as well.
But thank you.
Yeah.
This has been a joy. I really enjoyed
Yeah,
our conversation today.
I did too. All right. Until next time, everyone. Bye bye.